every person I have represented. And I remember the vast majority of them by name. Like I remember their eyes, I remember how they moved, how they talked. They're all humans. And that's what we're really trying to convey to the jury. Despite what you've been through in your life and the obstacles and the hurdles, the humanity is what is really important. And we can pull that out of anyone. It doesn't matter what they've experienced. At the core, they are human. And that's what people commit.
Welcome to this episode of Burden of Proof, where we interview those who have been both successful at law and life. And today, we have on one of the best trial lawyers and one of the best human beings of all time, E.B. Ariesek.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you.
We also have our esteemed co-host in his dungeon. We're filming today in Hollywood Hills, and I can't believe he actually got you to come to his little clubhouse.
Oh, gosh.
You've made it. Now you've actually made it.
This may be the shortest podcast in Bourbon Approved history. And just so you know, full disclosure.
Thank you for joining us.
I'm joining Bob.
Okay.
Just so you know, when I texted him and told him that I would agree to come, I asked you for one thing. What was the one thing I asked you for?
Keep Morrow away from you.
Yes. And I said, and I said I wanted hazard pay. Where's my check?
This is it. This is a sparkling cider, Martinelli sparkling cider. This is gold medal. You can pick it up at any Rouse, Gelson's at your local grocery.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to do one without alcohol. This is about 10 a.m.
Very
It's
nice.
only 10 a.m.
Amazing vintage on this.
Yes, these are with the finest grapes, I think. Did it make cider? No, some apples.
Apples.
Come on, I'm not a vegetable guy. That's you're supposed to say it's a fruit.
Thank you.
These
Thank
low on
you.
chunks. Cheers.
Oh.
Cheers. Oh,
I
don't get too close to
suppose.
it.
I suppose. I suppose.
Can we do like cheers?
Got this guy.
No.
You can tell Mara and Evie have known each other for a long time.
Yes.
She's kept her distance from him for a long time.
Yes.
Nonsense.
It's true. No.
We are friends.
So last year, for those of you that don't know, Evie was the president of CALA. And CALA is the largest plaintiff bar organization in the world.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's over thousands of members.
Yes. Yes.
I think 4,000 or
There are
something.
over 4,000 members. Wow. It is the largest and most influential plaintiffs trial lawyers association in local.
We travel a lot to see other bar orgs, and it's crazy how far behind all the other ones are. Crazy.
Yeah, we definitely raised the bar, but there's also a lot of groups and organizations that are putting on great education. But I think LA has something special. We have a very high concentration of incredibly talented attorneys, so many up and down the state.
Well,
This guy.
there's maybe two at the team.
Maybe two at the
Well,
team.
what you're
Two
not,
and a half.
but what you're not telling people listening is that two of the most esteemed board members of CALA are sitting here with you, myself and Mr. Robertson.
I'm now emeritus. I made emeritus.
You're emeritus 10 years.
You have
or
reached
more.
you have reached my milestone.
He's so mad at me
I'm
that I got
so
emeritus.
looking forward
He's
to
like,
it.
looking forward to it.
I can't wait to get to emeritus. It's coming shortly.
I think you have a few years, but I'm still confused as to how he actually got on the board. Do you know who? I can't remember, but it was definitely.
Ricardo Echeverria.
You know,
What's it?
Appointed me.
you know,
Okay, because you weren't voted on. I do know that.
He
You know,
appointed me.
it's like-
President's pick.
most politicians are compromised. I think he must have compromised with
Yes.
somehow to be able to
Yeah,
I
yeah.
went out to Chino and I had a meeting with him and he appointed.
Okay, I'll have to talk to him.
I had to
about
show him. I had to show him what goods I had.
that. Yeah, I'll give you credit though, Marlon. You do show up.
All right.
You show up to the meetings. You participate. I don't know if you've made a meaningful contribution to the organization, but you've certainly kept things lively.
And I speak in Vegas every year, and it's always
Well, one thing I do like about CALA is they have the board members. You have to commit to the big conference. So it's like, I remember one year, or 2 years in a row, I had to be on 3 or 4 different moderations of these panels to put together because education's paramount. But for those of you watching and listening, just Google E.B. Ariesek because some of the biggest verdicts anyone's ever seen. And I will tell, I'm a huge fan. If you ever seen E.B. try a case, watching picking a jury is just magic.
Oh, thank you.
Where did you learn all this stuff?
Wow. So picking a jury,
Good, by the way.
I love the really the cider.
That's such great. Very tasty.
Oh, I like that. So my passion is trial. I mean, I started my own practice 5 years ago. Prior to that, I spent 10 years at a very large and prominent firm, the Cochran firm, founded by the late, great Johnny L. Cochran Jr. But I went out on my own, primarily because I wanted to be able to concentrate on trials. Not many young attorneys get the opportunity to actually step into a courtroom. As you know, you grew an incredible firm where you were really training your attorneys to try cases. That's not the norm. The norm is you spend years in a firm, probably doing tons of discovery, litigating cases, but don't ever actually you can't get out there. So when I went out on my own, I decided I was going to focus exclusively on trial, and that's what I do. And I don't have clients in the traditional sense. Like, of course, I want to help my community and help people, and they call me, and I can guide and direct them. But my work is primarily trying cases for other firms, and so it's been really good for me, and I love it.
And I know we've worked. I mean, I remember when you were the Cochran firm, and I remember early interactions like, God, EBR is a star. Like, why is this not? But it does happen where other people, I don't know if it's an ego thing. It's usually an ego thing.
Is it?
Yeah, people don't want to give another an opportunity. And we had tried what case together.
We had,
I
yeah.
think we've only done one together.
We've done one together.
Steps, but, and it was and I talk about this one a lot because it was probably the most impactful trial that I've done just from a personal level. It wasn't the highest monetary amount, but I remember those conversations you were still at the Cochran firm at the time. And I was like, we have to try this case with EBA or else we're not going to work together. Yeah. And when I Van Nuys with the judge who's now off the bench, and he was one of the most disrespectful judges that I've ever met in my life. And he wouldn't even let EBA come to the back because he said, the men go back to talk. Swear to God. You probably know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Incidentally, he was my lucky rabbit's foot. I won 3 trials in there.
Oh, I can see why. I mean,
They probably love you.
Loved you.
He loved
Kindred spirit.
I think he felt that. I once went to see Mary giving a jury in downtown.
I think I remember this.
And then we spoke, I think, at lunch, and I actually gave her a couple of my observations, my most learned tips.
Go.
And I think she used that
No, it was
in the trial.
No, one of the most hardest skill to learn is jury selection.
It is.
Lawyers. And can you just
but it doesn't have to be.
doesn't have to be. But you have such a warm, welcoming presence. Some people, they're hard to break themselves down to do. One thing I think you do better than others is build that trust, but also get people off for cause.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Can you just explain kind of that process?
Yeah. So it's really twofold. Big picture, my approach to jury selection is that I'm really there to build a community. We, as trial lawyers, I think many of us think that it's a process of exclusion, right? Get as many people off the panel as possible so that you're left with this core group of folks that are going to give you a ton of money. I think it's more of a process of inclusion. We have to be thinking about how do we make everyone who is there want first to be on the jury, and then once they're on the jury to do the right thing. So I go in with that mindset. I'm thinking about how can I connect individually with every single person who walks into that room. And I have an exercise I do in my mind. I tell myself that there are 8 billion people on this planet. 8 billion people. And the vast majority I will never lay eyes on. Period. I'll never cross paths with them. And here I am in this room, and these 60 people were coming in. I'm thinking, wow, this is destined, Not only do I get to meet them and see them, I have the opportunity to actually interact with them. And so I do believe that makes a difference. I think that when people are talking to me, they feel that. I feel it. So it is, for me, jury selection is actually quite easy. It's the easiest part of the trial.
For me, it's my most fun and easiest part.
Yeah.
By far. But I like this inclusion process because I I do. I mean, I try to get the bad people off, but you still make them feel accepted.
Yes.
It's okay to feel this way,
Yes.
and then build that crowd. And sometimes you can't have all of them in your community. They're not going to all play well together, but you
Yeah. Well, don't be confused, right? I do make it a point to get the people off that should not be on the jury off the jury. I'm generally very kind of easygoing and nice, but if the case is not right for you, it's not right for you, and the juror and I come to an understanding very quickly that it's not the right case for you.
Yeah,
You can leave. Thank you very much.
that's one of the things I always try to do is, if it's not the right case, it doesn't fit your mind. If you're a juror, I talk to jurors, you don't think this is something you can do, you can't judge people, or you don't want to be part of a case like this, just let us know because,
there's other cases.
Yeah.
there's other cases.
Other cases.
And you might be better fit for something else. But the ones who just sit there and don't say anything, and then at the end of the day, they're like, "Oh, I hated this case," or it's like, speak up. You got to get them to talk. Like Riley always says, I need you guys to talk to me because if they don't talk, then you're not getting it
I
out.
always use that line. I was like, it was a famous judge once told me, to walk, you got to talk. So let's talk. Let's get it out.
Yeah,
Right? Let's start
yeah.
this conversation. But one thing I think you do better than anybody is you have extreme empathy. Extreme empathy. I see in the courtroom, but also in the cases we work together. We never have a perfect plaintiff. Right? We had people. The one case that we had tried together, you had spent so much time with that young girl who was abused and put her in a better place.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember we had a mediation and we couldn't find her.
Yeah, you remember that?
And you had to track her
Had
down.
to track her down. She was in when I found her, she was in I remember this, a white sedan,
Car.
sleeping in the back seat. I remember seeing, and I always get emotional.
I
when
know
think
this one's
about
hard
her.
not to get emotional.
Because she just went through so much. But I remember seeing like cupcakes and Twinkies and everything in there. And then looking, teenager. I remember looking at the car, there was bullet holes in it. I thought, oh my gosh, like, what a life. And having to think like, come on, we gotta get to mediation and getting her cleaned up and just like, let's go. But fortunately we found her. But that was rough. You talk about the perfect plaintiffs. You're right. No one's perfect. But the reality is that every person I have represented, and I remember the vast majority of them by name. Like I remember their eyes, I remember how they moved, how they talked. They're all humans. And that's what we're really trying to convey to the jury. Despite what you've been through in your life and the obstacles and the hurdles, the humanity is what is really important. And we can pull that out of anyone. It doesn't matter what they've experienced, drugs, alcohol abuse, anything. At the core, they are human. And that's what people come to.
And that's the time you put in with your clients and to build that trust for them to open up and tell their story. But in this case, you were actually able to, because I was so concentrated on the liability part of that case. You were on telling
Telling
the human
damages.
story.
Yeah.
And I remember Evie, when she was in and out of foster care, this poor young girl, and she found the one foster parents that she connected with, remember up in Northern California,
I remember
found
that.
them. They came testify. They rekindled the relationship. And she moved back up there after
She did.
we won.
She did, and had a great support system.
Well, Evie, if this great empathy you have, you're in luck because if you look at my car right now,
Oh my gosh.
I have Twinkies, Ding Dongs, Zingers.
I'm looking in
my
here.
personal favorite Zingers. So I want you to look at my car before you
Okay.
leave.
But he has case shells. He doesn't have bullet holes, but he does. Yeah. The episode I did with Mara was the second guest ever, and he told the story about he got browbeat in Mexico because he crossed the border with a bunch of bullets in the back of the car. Which you cannot do.
He
with
pulled
her.
me over and I had a bunch of ammunition.
Why would you-
Because I was at a shooting range there.
I don't want to ask. I don't want to know. I don't know. I would just say for the record. I was going to do a time check. I don't think I've ever spent more than 5 minutes with Mom. I have a strict time limit. It's like, because at a certain point, it just goes all the way left. So you're asking a lot of me here. But, you're actually, you're doing all right.
Yes.
Morning.
Most of it.
Yes. I'm mostly well behaved, yes.
Okay.
But one thing that I admire a lot about you is when you started your firm, you put your family first,
Yeah.
right? We'd seen each other at the Ebola
Mm-hmm.
conference in Hawaii, and you brought
My children.
children.
Yeah.
Took them out kayaking. I saw you one day over at
Yeah.
the beach. Yeah. Our kids all went there too, and we were able to hang out. But how important is for you know, for the lawyers? We have a lot of lawyers that listen and watch the show. You're never going to find perfect balance. It doesn't exist. But how are you able to be intentional when you start your own firm to be able to spend time with your kids?
Well, actually, I actually disagree with that premise, first of all. I do think you can find perfect balance. I do think that you can do it all. I do think that you can master the art of being an incredible trial lawyer, a terrific spouse, an amazing parent, a dedicated civil servant. You can do all of those things very well. And so I start off with that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And that's my aspiration to do all those things. But people have to realize that some days you have to be in this vertical for a lot of the day, especially if you're in trial. There's
Absolutely.
not time for anything else except for that human being.
So here's what I say about that, though. I'm still a mother when I'm in trial, right? I'm just in trial. My daughter, who is 7, attends many conferences with me. She sees how I move through the room. She sees how I interact with people. My son is fully aware that I run my own business, that I'm my own boss, and that I help people. And being a mother, for me, also means being dynamic, right? And doing all these different sorts of things. My children have a very clear sense of what it means. Yeah, they're like,
role model.
yeah.
It's fantastic.
For them, being a mom doesn't mean like
Yeah.
all the things that you might traditionally think as a mother, like, you know, waking up, making breakfast, making the bed, which I do. I do those things, but I also try
I don't believe in making the bed. I'm one of those guys like, well, I'm going to sleep there later. Everything else.
No
like,
way.
Clean,
That's the first thing
I'm one of
do.
those guys that if I'm cooking, I clean before I eat because I want everything done so I can enjoy.
Yeah.
But bedroom, I mean, I'll be here in a few hours.
Oh my
goodness.
gosh, no, you have to make your bed. I mean, it says the day off. I mean, you never read
There's a lot
the
of
book,
people
make your
that
bed.
say if you make your bed in the morning, like
It's-
you've accomplished something.
you've-
I'm not a bed maker either.
Oh, we see that. I mean, that's obvious.
Well, he made this table out of bed yesterday for one episode.
No, that's why.
Put some hay there.
I thought about bringing a blanket just so I could like.
I'm very meticulous, though. I like to have my stuff exactly where it is, you know, where it belongs.
Okay.
I'm organized like that.
I haven't seen that side of it.
Very organized.
You had to keep it really cold in here today, so it kept him up. Because if it gets a little warm and he has some French fries, it's just a bad situation.
Can't eat potatoes. I put me right to sleep.
So what are your aspirations? Because
Yes.
I mean, you'd be the perfect civil servant to do the right thing. I talked about this before.
About what? What are you gonna ask me?
You should be. I mean, you should be governor of California. You should be. You should be.
No.
And you know what? Now I'm thinking about it. We had dinner together in Seattle.
We
so
did.
You spent more than 5 minutes.
He's still caught up on this.
It's like, wait a minute. You had dinner with me at the Washington Association for Justice conference.
Yeah, I do remember, but I also remember getting up about every 5 minutes and coming back. Like I
Oh, it
was
was funny because this was up in the mountains in Washington, and then I saw her.
Sun Cadia Resort.
I
Yeah.
saw her in the lobby, and she's like, "What are you doing here?" Like, well, I'm also a Seattle lawyer like you.
When you grew up in Washington.
Yeah, born and raised. Born and raised in Seattle, Washington, the Pacific Northwest. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Everything about it.
It's just too
Pennsylvania.
cold. It's cold.
Oh, you have to go in the summer.
Yeah, summer's nice, but in the winter it's freezing.
Yeah, yeah. But it's a great city. It was, my grandparents migrated there in the 1940s from Arkansas, along with a number of Black families from the South, right, looking for great opportunities. And fortunately, they found them. And I have hundreds of relatives in Seattle, so it felt natural for me to be licensed there, and practicing there, and probably going to be trying some cases up there this year too. So good
How do we
stuff.
know you have that Monsanto trial coming out.
Well, you know, we'll see. We'll see. We'll
See
see.
what they
It's in the works. In the works.
I was in April for a few weeks. We adopted my older daughter. She was outside of Seattle, so I was in Washington.
Right. Yes.
And
Yes.
I've seen them out like bald eagles just flying around.
Oh,
Like,
it's
this is
amazing.
iconic. Yeah.
It's a beautiful. It really is a beautiful, beautiful place to be.
So what's your I mean, you're now the immediate past president
Yes.
of CALA, which
Yes.
is well, like the best place to be.
It is
'Cause
pretty good,
I mean, it
isn't it?
has to be. How much time do you have to put into outside of your
Wow.
to be the president of that organization?
A lot of time. I mean, I mean, every president is different, but my year was really dedicated to the association. I wanted to do it right, so I didn't try as many cases as I wanted to. I'm usually in trial half the year, but during my year with CALA, I had to really scale back because I had goals in mind. I also wanted to be able to travel. I was attending a lot of conferences. I wanted to support the other associations in the city. But I mean, it's a full-time job, Bob. It's a full-time job. But I do believe that it's important work and it's worthwhile. You know, the influence of these associations, it's huge. I mean, we're lobbying, we're writing writing laws, we're educating other attorneys on the law. We're interfacing with the judiciary. We're dealing with politicians. We're getting people elected to office. I mean, this is the kind of work you do it now, and you're gonna see the benefits
It's
10 years
crazy,
from now.
like how much you can actually do politically if
Mm-hmm.
you are in these organizations or tied to the right people. Like I've literally written bills before.
I know you have.
We're doing one right now.
Yeah,
It's like
right?
a lot.
Right.
And it's just, you know, you're putting the right people, you're a politician. This makes a lot of sense. Why are we not doing this? Educate them on the issue. And then why don't we codify
Right.
this? Because it'll make better access to justice, save people money,
Yes.
etc.
And it's a way to multiply. I guess so I'm thinking like,
It's one to many. So it's,
Right.
it's helping
So-
people on scale. Like,
right.
Yeah.
So what we started doing is single plaintiff litigation. You help one person change one life, right? And then you're hoping that you handle this case in the right way, that it'll change or influence policy and procedure. Great. That's a win, right? That's a win. But when you start talking about the impact that we can have as attorneys in the state, in the country,
Yes.
through legislation, through supporting the right judges to be on the bench so that we can get good law. I mean, that has far greater I mean, we can just do so much more. So that's really where my mind was in the last year. So
And I always think that you create more change through jury verdicts because it usually propels societal change than you do through the bureaucracy of
Yeah.
government.
Yeah,
Well, California is unique because we do actually have the voice to be able to change some laws, but otherwise it's stagnant.
it's hard. It's hard. You look at other states, and I know you have listeners from all over the country, but it's California's unique, and in the sense that we're relatively progressive. We have such high concentration of legal minds. We're proactive. We're still, of course, fighting tort reform and all the folks that are trying to deny everyday folks the right to being made whole and justice, right? But we're fortunate in that we're able to do that here. So
You know, so what's next for EBA Sec? Because I mean, you are one of the most well-known trial lawyers, one of the most, probably the best leader of our organizations and our bars. You got young kids. I mean, your boy, he's probably what, 12ish now?
he's 13.
13.
Turned
And then
13.
your 7-year-old daughter, and
Yes.
you're traveling.
Yeah.
But what defines you? Like, how do you define happiness and how you get there?
Oh my gosh, happiness to me is really easy, just peace, like, and freedom. When I say freedom, I mean freedom to do what I want to do, with whom I want to do it, when I want to do it, right? And wealth, not just financial wealth, right? But time, social, right? Spiritual. So those are the things that I'm always striving for. I plan to just continue to do the good work that we've been doing, trying cases. I want to be able to work with some great lawyers this year. I get to choose who I work with, so that's a lot of fun. But also, I want to be able to really start focusing on setting up the next generation of trial lawyers.
Yep.
We don't do enough of that, you guys. Like
That's
you just
what-
have to, I mean, we have these folks who've been doing this for 40 years, God bless them. They've done great work. But then, like, who's next? We have to
that's-
always be thinking about who's next, and not just lawyers, the people who are in, you know, in the practice right now. I'm talking about law students. I'm talking about college students. I'm talking about high school students. I teach mock trial in middle school. Why? Because I want middle schoolers thinking about law school. I want 12 and 13-year-olds thinking about law school, because that's when my eyes opened up to it. If you know at that age what you want to be, what you can be, right? You can begin the process of really training yourself to get there, setting that clear goal. And so I do think we need to be reaching back.
I agree, and I'm passionate about that too. You know, the next generation, speaking a lot of law schools, and one thing I always tell them is like, you were here probably to make change. That's why you're here.
That's why you're here.
Never lose sight of that. And there's ways you could do it, and mentorship groups that you
Yeah.
can be part of. And I found it's very powerful just to do. I do monthly workshops. Just HQ. We're going to start doing ones where people are going to have their own membership, almost like their mentorship, where people can subscribe to you. So you could do it online. You could do
Oh, nice.
So helping one to many. So same
Yes.
vision. It's like, hey, let's find a way to have your crowd, teach them the right way, and then they could do under them and under them and under them. And there's no way to do it one-on-one. There's not enough time.
There's not enough time. Well, that's why I've been interested.
I'm gonna
in-
pop this out.
Oh, take it easy. Take it easy.
You didn't even
Take
drink
it easy.
your cider.
You don't need to. It's not. The rules only for bourbon. Chrissy was like, "Get her an Olipop out of the fridge."
Oh, how's she doing?
She's fantastic.
Oh, I saw a photo of the girls. They look great.
They're so funny.
They look great. A lot of fun. Lucky girls.
Yesterday was St. Patrick's Day, and my wife was at both of their schools and dressed up. She teaches she's called a docent. You know what this is?
No.
So she signs up to be also like assistant teacher, and they teach different. She's like doing the gardening class, healthy living. So she's down there like every day.
I also do the healthy living class at my kids' school. I go down and
Okay, let's hear it.
give them my
Yeah.
tips. No, believe it or not,
I didn't realize that she on campus.
There's a little bit of sincerity.
no, I'm in Cub Scouts.
Okay.
And then I coach both my kids' baseball teams,
Do you?
T-ball, and one is in hard pitch or fast pitch. Me and Dan Kramer, you know Dan Kramer.
Dan Kramer, I do know, coaches.
Me and him coached 3 seasons together. My kids, both my kids were on the same team with Dan's son, Connor. And after like 3 seasons ago, there was a little far from my house, so I moved to a league closer by here. Because traffic in LA is getting so crazy.
Yeah.
Even though it's not that far away where me and Dan coach together, it's probably like 10 miles. It could take an hour. So
With the
it's
sports
nuts.
stuff. I mean, your son probably plays.
Yes, he plays sports year-round, both soccer and basketball. He's getting ready to enter high school, so he had to choose.
So did he get recruited? Because I wonder, because he's a really good athlete. Does
Yeah.
he get recruited? People fight for him to come?
Well, you're not technically supposed to, but there's always people who are attending the travel games and watching and trying to get you to join their travel team or their league. And so, but right now he's just having fun. He's we remind him you're an athlete, but more importantly, you're a scholar. So
Scholar. That's my dad always taught us too. It's like,
you can do both.
yeah. But do you know Dr. Roberto Contreras? He's a life care planner, or internal medicine guy. His son, I think he's like 13 or 14. He's playing professionally right now in Barcelona.
Really?
They recruit him like a kid. He was just a phenom. And he's, for the past 2 years, now they're bringing him on some other team. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
But
Good for him.
so Coach Bryce, and by the way, shout out to Law Firm Rides, because
Coach Bryce, yes.
they give transportation for everybody on the show, but he's a personal friend of mine. But they call him Coach Bryce because he coaches basketball
Yeah.
for a long time.
Yeah.
Knows every single person.
In Pasadena, right? Or
I've seen at Compton,
Yes.
every area, so he knows. It's funny. Like we were at this hologram place, and John Sally walked in. John Sally, the
Yeah.
skater, and Bryce just knows him. He's talking to him. He's like, "How do you know John Sally?" He's like, "Oh, we go way back." I'm like, every time I talk to him,
love
you know
that.
Coach Bryce. Yeah, he just
I
helped.
love that.
So he did this. I'm going to ask you this because he asked me this question the other day in the car. He said, "What would your dream job be if it wasn't what you do? Like, what would your dream scenario be if you weren't the lawyer?" And I'll tell you, his answer was he used to go back for Job Corps. He used to just help people find jobs. And he was like, that was the most rewarding thing. He's like, I'd like to do that if I had independence, didn't have to worry about money. That's what I would do.
Yeah. I did AmeriCorps. not Job Corps, but I was familiar with Job Corps. But it's good work. I figure, like, I mean, don't you feel like you're doing your dream job? I mean, you don't work, but you. I mean, isn't it like your dream job?
I'm getting there, yeah.
On occasion.
On occasion.
Yeah, we had to fly to this thing in Orlando last week. Guy brings his mail everywhere, his hard mail, so he has a backpack full of mail. But he actually sits there on his computer and he's in his case management system reviewing files.
Really?
Yeah.
Pecking away. Yeah, I mean, I work.
He's a packer, by the way. He just does this. He doesn't use, he can't, he does one finger at a time.
Yeah. I have a certain responsibility for certain things in my office that I still like to keep my hand in. So
Okay.
I don't, I never was much into like discovery and writing and all that. It's not my thing. Never been into that. But I do still take some expert depots.
Okay.
And I have lawyers in my office that try cases. And so I help them get ready for trial.
But do you manage the office? Because
No.
He has a COO, but I think most of Morrow's, you have like 70% of your female in your office, right?
Probably more than that.
I don't know how.
And then the CEO.
Really, I see
he's
them,
not there.
I see them in public, and I'm like, blink twice.
Sarah, the
I
CEO
do.
at my office.
I'm-
She's great. She's great. I mean, I have one, two, I think there's 4 or 5 out of the 7 lawyers. I think 5 of them are
Yeah.
female. They're all
All really good. All really good lawyers. Great
Great.
people. You're right.
That's because they don't have to deal with Morrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
they loved it. They loved it.
You guys actually too. I like. I can appreciate the fact that you have built very good firms, but you also seem really happy. I mean, you travel together. You're definitely engaged in the community. I see all the work that you're doing, all the speaking and education. So it's
You're
good.
not happy while you're doing it. Like we have
Right.
friends that are
Miserable.
very wealthy but miserable because they're working all the
Miserable.
time. Like, why am I
Yeah.
doing this? I'm like, ask yourself that question.
I don't know. I always say currency is the best form of, no, time is the best form of currency.
True.
That's my currency, time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like making money and I need to make money, but time is worth
Yeah.
10 times more than
But
dollars.
if you weren't a trial lawyer, if you weren't this advocate,
Yeah.
what would it be for you?
Oh man.
Well, but going back, what did you do before? Like, what was your first job or series of jobs?
My first series of jobs, I feel like I've been working forever, right? I grew up in a community where, you helped your neighbors. If someone needed their lawn raked, you raked their lawn. If they needed their trash taken out, you took out the trash. They need their groceries. And so I feel like I was always doing something like that. I guess my first official job, that Seattle used to have this program where they would take, they would give jobs to low income students, kids. And it was the Seattle Young People's or Seattle Youth Employment Program. I remember that. And I remember that because I'm trying to think what I was actually, kind of work I was actually doing, but I do remember this. I got paid $10 an hour. And that was like,
That was a lot back.
come on, $10. You know how many Jolly Ranchers
Yep.
you can buy with 10? Like, it was a big
$7
deal.
an hour. I sounded like doing my grass cutting business, but $7 an hour to work the concession stand at the local pool.
See? I mean, but that builds character, right? Like you understand the value of a dollar.
I made $5 an hour my first job.
You make up, well, anyway. My question is good.
What was your first job?
First job.
Job. Not like, making it.
I worked at a car wash in Riverside. I went to Temecula Valley High School, and I worked at a car wash in Riverside. And I worked inside the tunnel, like the guys who put the soap on the cars. And
This is before the machines did it?
This was a hand wash place, so
Okay.
and people liked it because they didn't have all those machines. So actually, I had to have idiots inside there doing it, and I was a frogman, they called it.
Wow.
And I would wear a rain suit, and I'd be in there washing the cars. $4.75 an hour.
Wow. Did you have a method?
Freezing cold.
Did you have a method that you used to wash these
No,
cars?
man. I mean,
I think you're a Miyagi, like
Yeah.
hot wax. up.
Wax
I can just
on,
imagine
wax
that this
off.
process.
Show it.
just be like, let me get that. It was so bad. It was on University. It was called, I think it was called Mission Car Wash. It was on University, right downtown Riverside by the UCI.
Wow.
And I'd be like, what am I doing? I was like,
Did you
16.
ever think you were going to be a lawyer?
No, not really.
You know, he read a
I'm
book
like,
about
I'm fascinated by like,
Yeah. I just was, and then after that, I went to a junior college and I was a caddy at a golf course and stuff like that, you know. And then, like Bob knows my story. I read a book at Barnes and Noble that said, "Oh, you can be a lawyer in California if you don't go to college," and all this stuff. I was like, that sounds like my kind of scam.
not a scam.
I went to law school in Inglewood.
Did you?
Yeah, UWLA,
All right. I know exactly where that is.
with a heavily Nigerian student body.
Shout out to the Nigerians.
Awesome.
And I just stand up.
All these
They go
Nigerian
to
lawyers.
school.
I had never met a Nigerian in my life, and then next thing I'm at UWLA with all these Nigerian guys, and they're all lawyers. They're all practicing lawyers.
Love it.
awesome.
Love it.
So it's-
Were they from Nigeria?
Yeah, real Nigerians. These guys are.
But even if you're a lawyer in another country, we had a guy on the show, South African. He had to come. There's no reciprocity to get to come.
Oh, no,
study,
no,
take
no.
the bar again, at least. I mean, but there's a whole. I mean, I think you have to go to law school with your license.
Oh, they have like a foreign law degree thing where they like compare it. And it has to be like common law and all this other stuff. I've researched it.
Oh, of course you have.
I've researched everything on that.
So they have a new thing in Washington where they will allow you to be licensed without going to law school, right?
No law school and no bar exam in Washington. So it's a law office study program. You 4 years you study with an attorney, and after 4 years you're the lawyer that you're studying with in Washington has to certify that you did all these different things, and then the lawyer certifies it and they give you a license. No bar exam, no law school.
Exam. Wow.
That starts in 27 in
I think we're going to see a lot of California lawyers up there. What do you think?
They've
Watch it.
already started.
Yeah.
There's different laws there. So like, it's a very good pro-consumer state. They just don't allow the fuckery that goes on in Southern California. It's some of these massive firms and funding
Yeah.
and all these things. They don't allow the fuckery, which I wish we did either. And hopefully we get to that point.
And the medical treatment is much more harder to come by up there. There's not doctors willing to work on lean, so
Oh, I see. Yeah.
so
Because they have a lot of rules and regulations if you're
Yeah.
going to do those things. So these guys that play fast and loose here are allowed to do it.
yeah,
Right.
You go up there. You think you're going to go up to Seattle or Washington State and run a Los Angeles style BI for me?
It's not gonna
They'd be
happen.
back here
Right.
in 2 weeks.
Huh.
Totally different. But once you figure out the system, you work in it. My office has done well over there in Seattle, but I figured out the system.
So Evie, the one thing we're at the end of the episode here, but I wanted to ask you this is I'm sure you get a lot of people to reach out to you.
Yeah. I
Folks
do.
to help, folks that want to be mentored, folks that want to be like Evie, right? But you're only doing the trials.
I'm doing the job.
So what's your workflow for having so many people reach out to you that need help? And you're essentially the hammer at the end.
Yeah. I do make it a point to connect with anyone who reaches out to me, period. Doesn't matter if I believe I can take your case or not. It's about if you reached out to me, I'm in the business of service, I'm going to serve. I have the luxury or the benefit of knowing some incredible lawyers, not only in California, but throughout the country. And I always tell people if I can't help you, I can find someone who can. And then the cases that are really important to me, I do continue to work on them. There are cases that I have with your office and I've been on them for years because, they're important to me and I want to make sure that
I'd like to hand off every case to trial. I would never forget, you were in a trial in San Bernardino, I think. And a friend of yours was at a bad crash.
Yes,
And
yes.
said, you guys got
said, Bob, you have to go help her. And he got in the car and you were like within an hour in her living room. And I really appreciate that.
But and this is one thing that I think people should do this with you is we put in like the fee share agreement essentially is that you have right of first refusal to come back in for a tiered more percentage to try the case, which ended up happening.
Yes.
Because we got through expert debt. It settled, right before trial.
It did.
a few
It
times,
did.
But
It did.
for a significant amount of money. But it was great because Evie knew her so well, the client, and knew the story. It was able just to direct traffic for us from 30,000 feet. And then was the hammer at the end that they were afraid.
Ready.
And
I was ready. I was ready. I
It was
ready.
great.
I'm afraid of her too.
You,
Oh, I know you are. Like, I've never seen this. He's he's a little afraid.
you know,
I'm very calm.
it took time. I mean, it took a lot of like conditioning to get him to the point where, you know, you can act like you have some sense.
Yes.
I love the growth. I love the growth.
I'm acting like it's
No, but this is good. I'm glad to be here. I had my doubts, you know, but this has been a lot of fun.
Well, it wasn't a drinking show, so it's a little more subdued.
Okay, I appreciate that. I do.
No, but I mean, you're like, as you know, a huge fan of yours. We usually ask at the end of the episode what's your bourbon of proof because we try to stuff. So that's not really here. But if you did, what is your favorite? We'll go meal or food. We're not going to go drink. Like, what are
what's
you
my
into?
favorite meal?
We finally said he's a big pasta guy. We asked what his favorite was.
Oh gosh, you know, I've always been a salty, savory people.
All salty.
I love Thai food. I went to Thailand
I like that.
last year, and I was in heaven. Everything I ate, just street anything.
Is it very spicy over there?
Yes, but it's not just, it's the combination of flavors. The sweet, the spicy, the salty. It's
I don't
like,
like sweet with that. I like savory and spicy.
I'm
Like,
telling
Yeah,
you.
like in the Thai food sometimes they put pineapple and stuff in
I don't like that. I like a little peanut, little spicy.
I love it. And then of course I love West African food. My family's from West Africa. So stews, I like gumbos, I like I like food. I mean, I'm just gonna be real. I love food. If that's the way to win me over, the way
one
to
of
my
the things
heart.
that I like here in and I have to go by myself because my wife won't even come near it. Is I like to go to. There's a couple Jamaican restaurants and they have curry goat.
Curry goat. That's
Curry goat.
Curry goat.
And like Jamaicans, the only ones who are really eating goat. I think. And Mexicans a little bit, but the curry goat. There's a place called it's called Coney's. In Studio City.
Oh, okay. I'll have
It's
to
this
try it.
Jamaican restaurant. It's so good. I love curry goat. I don't know why, but I do. But I'm always alone when I'm eating. Nobody wants to. I think
Art does a lot of alone shit.
I know.
Mexicans make like some kind of like a barbecue goat, but the curry goat's the best.
Well, there's a lot of good food out there. So maybe next time we'll have a meal.
So like
Each
West Africa
cooking
is
show,
where
right?
exactly? Because I've been to Africa. West Africa is like what countries?
What countries in West
Yeah.
Africa? Oh, well, you have Senegal, you have Gambia, you have Nigeria, you have Ghana.
Like Liberia, right? Where
Yeah, Liberia, Sierra Leone. Yeah. And then you have East Africa,
I didn't
Kenya.
make it up there. I was in South Africa and Swaziland, Malawi. I went to. I went on a safari. That's
Really?
Another.
And they didn't leave you there.
Watch the episode
Another
together as he explains what happened to him, and he almost got left there.
I mean, I've seen you running from the bulls,
Yeah,
falling on your face.
yeah.
I remember
I
that.
actually picked up.
I picked up Dordic before we go. When I picked him up and said,
Saved Dorothy.
Yeah, it's like the tortoise. And the
"Well, Dordic says I knocked him down."
I believe it. I believe
Like
it.
Gary says, "You knocked me down. That's why you picked me up here."
It was on the news, so like they saw on Spanish news, and it was like there's proof that it did not knock him down. Like Gary does
Just
not.
running for our lives.
Yeah. Well, thank
awesome.
you guys. I
Thank you for
appreciate
coming on.
it. It's been fun, Bob. Thank you.
I hope to see you lobbying soon. You know, we can go do some fun stuff.
Yeah, we can do that too. But yeah. And I'd love to see you run for governor.
Maybe one day. But I don't think they would like some of the things I have to say. Most people would, but someone no.
All the more reason.
I think I would be a good governor.
No, we know you are nowhere near political office. No, the skeletons.
He would actually be a good politician because they'd be like, that could be compromised very easily.
I'd be like the governor in The Godfather. Remember the governor in The Godfather? The one that wouldn't give Michael Corleone his gaming license. Remember that guy?
That was Casino, no?
No, it's a movie so old now. No one, the young people don't know.
The young people.
He still likes these gangster movies.
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks, EVRA.
Of course, it's been a pleasure. Thanks, you guys.